frozen in their tracks with that realization. Another thing is it's their inside jolly chuckles. I've watched this over the years. They tell their own people, okay, look at such and such and such, and you'll see we're in control. You know, for instance, a real easy way to make that point is look on the back of a dollar bill. You know, there's the pyramid and the all-seeing eye. What does a pyramid have to do with America? You know, what does this all-seeing eye have to do with America? Nothing, you know. A pyramid might have something to do with Egypt. But they can sit there and tell their people, you see, we have the power to put our logos on the money. We have the power to do this. We have the power to do that. And even their own slaves, their own people, which they enslave, are terrified because, wow, look, they're able to show us right on television what they're going to do. There was all kinds of television shows, cartoons, where they showed the Twin Towers being attacked, comic books. So, you know, they revealed what they were going to do. I'm sure you and a lot of your listeners are aware, if you take the 1 and the 5 and the 10 and the 20 and the 50 and the $100 bill, and you fold them all exactly the same way, and you put them in sequence, denominational sequence, and you flip them, it makes a flip chart. It shows the Twin Towers. They come up, and then the planes flying into them, and they're falling down. It's a little motion picture. They do this stuff, and they can show it to someone and their own people or other people, and it's a revelation of their power. They're not having to surprise us on this. They can, okay, I'm going to punch you in the belly, and here it comes. Okay. Is there something suspicious about it? Auspicious. Well, I think the most auspicious thing was what I just mentioned.
Hey, Fritz, the only way I can shut up, I'm going to be honest with you, is I am actually going in the control room to let you talk, because I'm so obnoxious, I will interrupt. So I'm actually trying to give you the floor, brother. Go ahead.
I love your comments. This is a conversation here. It's not a monologue. And I have to be careful because sometimes I can get too detail-oriented.
Well, I want to be specific. You've been out of prison almost a year. You decided to come public here. You're obviously getting a lot of heat on you. There were some things you didn't want to get into. You've been told not to get into. Ricky Ross, the biggest cocaine dealer for the CIA on the West Coast, he came on this show, and they, you know, and other shows, and they're trying to put him back in prison. So I warned you up front. We appreciate your courage, but obviously this is stuff they don't want people to be hearing.
Well, I think I'll be relatively okay. We'll see. I mean, you know, I'm a believer, and I also believe that God's in control ultimately, and if he allows certain things, I know that because I love him, that all things are going to work together for good to those that love him and are called according to his purpose. You know the quote. And so we have to go forward with faith, and we can't just sit back and cower in fear, which is what some of these things are done. They're intentionally done in a certain way to do that. One of the things, you look back at the Kennedy assassination. Now, they wanted to get rid of JFK for a whole number of reasons, but there could have been a real simple way to do it.
They could have poisoned him. They could have whatever. He had health problems. He was in World War II injured. But instead, they wanted to kill him in public. I want you to speak to JFK and that ritual killing. I know where you're going with this. And then I want you to speak to, because you brought this up without me raising it, why does the Illuminati hate black people so much? Why is there, because they like to kill everybody. Let's be clear about that. You know, some black folks think all white people are part of the Illuminati. No, average white folks are dumber than a box of bricks or something. Dumber than a hammer. But why is there a particular hatred of black people? I want you to get to that after JFK.
They intentionally killed JFK in a public scenario to traumatize the American people, and also just to blatantly show certain people the power that they had. It was definitely a ritual murder. There were a lot of ritual symbology around it.
And by the way, 9/11 was meant to intimidate governments and populations that were aware and informed. That was another, I want you to speak to that if you disagree or agree. That was done as well to like, hey, we did this, watch out, we're crazy. We did this in full view.
Exactly. That's why revelation of the knowledge, revelation of the method is one key ingredient, because you can then quietly tell these other governments, look, you're going to come in line.
Okay, so I'm going to stop now. 10 minutes, you've got the floor. Go into JFK, go into why they hate black people so much, go into Revelation of the Method. You've got the floor, so don't stop. You've got it right now.
Okay, well, let's go back to a previous thing that we were discussing that David Icke brought up, and that is whatever we want to call these non-human entities. I'm not going to get into a metaphysical debate as to whether they're aliens or demons or both, but there is definitely higher intelligences that are non-human that have given the Illuminati an agenda, and it's a non-human agenda. It's not human-friendly. It's definitely this wonderful creation of God is slated for destruction, and part of the program of bringing this all about is to population control and war, and part of the process of creating wars is doing events like 9/11. You've got, ostensibly this was done for jihad. That was the symbology supposedly behind 9/11, is we had these Islamic fundamentalists that hated America. We have to be real careful with allowing hate into our life, because the Illuminati loves to manipulate hate. They love to stir up hate and then sit back and watch everybody kill each other. Now, the switching here back to JFK. The JFK assassination has been one of the best means for people to wake up. And now I see that 9/11 is also an entryway for people to realize that there's something rotten in Denmark.
So their public flaunting, their open ritual has backfired.
Exactly. They've made a public display of power, but that public display of power is also a means for us to point out that they do have this power and are manipulating things. In the Kennedy assassination, I don't know the current number, whether it's 110 or 119 eyewitnesses were killed in mysterious circumstances. A similar situation happened over in Belgium. I'm kind of shifting channels on you here and going in my own direction. but this is something that a lot of the listeners may not be aware of. And that was, in my 1991 book, I exposed one of the Illuminati's top ritual castles in Europe, and I gave the location.
Yeah, no, listen, right now, I'm leaving the studio to make sure you're not interrupted, because I want you to get into that castle, JFK, 9/11. Fritz, lay it out right now. You've got the floor. Do it right now.
Well, from eyewitnesses who had been in rituals in the castle where children were sacrificed, and the blood of these children is drained, and quill pens are filled up, and the blood is used to write an account of what the Illuminati have done that day and bring about the plan. And so I exposed this ritual castle in southern Belgium. And at first, this was in 1991, and a number of years transpired, and it was like I was a voice in the wilderness and nobody had heard. But eventually it did get heard. And what happened is in Belgium, the Belgian government was toppled. They had big protests in Brussels a couple times where there were over 500,000 Belgians protesting their government. And the reason why is because there was a big scandal that broke loose where people had discovered that there were satanic covens in their government, the government of Belgium, and that there was pedophilia going on. And this got connected and people then were able to connect what was going on and some of the people back to this castle that I had exposed. And so Interpol, due to public pressure, sent somebody here in the United States to my house to interview me to find out information about the ritual murders that went on in this castle. Well, this was a very strange way that this FBI agent who was representing Interpol, it was very strange the way he approached this murder investigation. I would just throw out to the listener right now, if you were an FBI agent or a policeman and you were investigating a murder, how would you approach doing it? And then compare that with what happened in this case. The day he arrived at my house, and I was at that time living with friends, I was upstairs in my study on the computer working on one of my books on the Illuminati, and something told me, my sixth sense, or call it the Spirit of God, something told me, you ought to go downstairs right now. And when